Now, the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn says conditions at refugee camps in France are some of the worst he's ever seen, and he's now calling for the government to follow Germany and do more to help ease Europe's migration crisis. He says the UK should start processing the thousands of people hoping to cross the Channel into Britain. Well, let's talk to Syrian refugee and campaigner Abdulaziz Almashi. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's all well and good Jeremy Corbyn saying this. It's not really going to affect a great deal of change, is it?
Well, I hope so. Jeremy Corbyn's position over refugees is clear. On the day when he was elected as a leader for the Labour Party, he joined our march solidarity with refugees, and he delivered his first speech as the leader of the Labour Party. And he's a big fan of refugees. He's supportive of refugees. And again, I think the British public made it clear. On September the 12th, we organized a march in solidarity with refugees. More than 100,000 people from the British public joined us and said, refugees, welcome here. Me personally, I have spoken in many events in local communities, universities, unites everywhere about refugees, and we should be welcoming refugees. And yes, so Jeremy Corbyn is reflecting the opinion of the British public.
Well, he's reflecting a proportion of the British public in that. And there is an argument to say, open events that you may attend are going to be supported by people who are perhaps more sympathetic to what you're saying. There is a concern. It's being reflected by some people on Twitter this morning saying, well, if you start allowing people from Calais into the UK, that is simply going to encourage more people to head to Calais to try to cross the Channel, which is why the government took the position of saying we'll take people from Syria, from refugee camps in the area, rather than taking people closer to the border.
Yes, the problem is the European countries felt the crisis of refugees just recently. In fact, the refugee crisis for Turkey, for Lebanon, for Jordan exists since 2011 when the Syrian conflict started. But now again, I mean, this is invalid claims. Why? Because if you go to Calais, I've been to Calais twice, I've seen people there. People are refugees, they're not migrants. Okay, why don't the British government go there and allow people to apply and consider their cases one by one, and let's see who is a genuine refugee and who is not. And I mean, look at Germany. Why don't the British government, Britain, do the same? What Germany did? Germany opened their borders. Syrians are refugees, genuine refugees. Iraqis are refugees. People from Afghanistan are refugees. People from Eritrea are refugees.
But Germany is now struggling. I mean, there's a lot of concern in the German authorities because of how many people they've taken in, and the infrastructure is struggling under the strain of that.
Well, how many people did Lebanon take? Lebanon is a very weak country in terms of, in terms of economy. And again, they like Lebanon have more than 1.5 million refugees for a small country. What about Turkey? In Turkey, the 2.2 million are registered refugees. Jordan, almost 1 million. I mean, it is there. Germany is in a much better position than Lebanon, Turkey, and other regional countries.
But the argument would be if those countries are closer to the area, closer to Syria and closer to Iraq, can take refugees, all well and good, why should it be pushed on to Britain, is the argument a lot of people would make.
Well, we are not saying Britain must take in all the refugees, but if the European countries, every European country takes their fair share of refugees, we wouldn't be having a crisis. I mean, why should we rely on Germany to take in all the refugees? Why don't Britain take, for example, 200,000 instead of 20,000 by 2020? What about France, which is a permanent member of the UN Security Council? Norway, Sweden, Denmark. I mean, all of these European countries, I think they can take in refugees. And again, a refugee is a right, not a privilege. These people have a right to come. And these countries, Britain and others, they signed the 1951 Geneva Convention for Refugees, so they are required to take in refugees by law.
Abdulaziz, we've got to leave it there. Thanks for being here this morning. And send us your thoughts on that, if you would, at Sky Stephen, at Sky Gillian, or you can email us news@sky.com. Stay with us here on Sunrise. Plenty more still to come.